Don't try to look for the quickest path to launch the business. Don't try to look for it to be easy, because if it were easy, we would all be doing it.
Well, hey, welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. And today I am joined by Kepo, a former management consultant turned high performance life coach. She hosts the Grow with Kepo podcast, and she helps ambitious 9 to 5ers get clear on their genius, launch their dream business, and build a foundation of true time and financial freedom. Her work is bold, it's transformative, and it's designed for people who know they're made for more and they're finally ready to live like it. Kepo, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Amanda, for having me. I'm so excited about today's show.
Me too, me too. And I was so honored to be a guest on your show talking about, the liftoff, getting out of the 9 to 5. I'm so curious, Kepo, what are you seeing right now among people when it comes to their careers? I'm hearing a lot about the side hustle economy and, people moving around a lot. What are you seeing?
What I'm seeing is this: first of all, the fact that people are recognizing that, okay, this whole get a good job, graduate, get a good job, and keep your head down is not going to work, not in this economy and not in the future, especially if they want to sustain their current lifestyle when they're retired. And so what I'm seeing is almost everyone is either thinking about a side hustle or has a side hustle. But the problem that I'm also seeing with that is it's like, wow, I created this side hustle so I could have freedom. And now I feel like I'm a puppet on the strings of my 9 to 5 and my side business. And then finally, the last thing that I'm seeing is people are doing these side businesses for income only, and they're leaving out an entire big piece out of the picture, which is, where is my genius and what can I actually do so well that the world cannot ignore me? And so they're miserable at their 9 to 5. They're creating the side income because, like, okay, I want more income, but they're not enjoying it. So it's like they're burning the stake at both ends, and it just sucks all around.
I'm not religious, but I love this biblical line of it's the root of all evil is the love of money. So it's
Mhm.
not that money is evil, but it's that the love of money is where you're going to get into trouble, where you are prioritizing the money above and without consideration for everything else, to your point. And, what really strikes me is that all of us, we are confined to 168 hours a week. That's what we get. Everybody does. So if you're filling your time, a third of your life, give or take, with the full time gig and you're miserable, and now you're taking out of a second third of your life to do the side hustle that's making you miserable, another third of your life is going to sleep, right?
Pretty
That's
miserable
like
life.
a lot of time that's just going into work for work's sake. So when you're and we're both high performance coaches, so that's one reason that I love high performance is because it is very holistic and we do examine a lot of aspects of living a very good life. When it comes to discovering your genius, especially for someone who's maybe struggling with expressing that genius or articulating that genius, or even just being sure that that genius does have a paycheck, right? Because it's not about the love of money, but if you can't pay your bills and you don't have, the liquidity because of what you're doing, that can be a really scary and frustrating place to be as well. So, can you walk us through how do you help someone reveal that genius that is also going to support them financially?
Yeah, great question. And I love the fact that you started out talking about high performance and how we look at the whole person and your life and how you can fit all these things and still have a beautiful life, right? And I think that everything starts from the stuff in between our ears, our mindset. If you already If you're coming into this world where you're like, I want to work, I want to get paid for what I love to do, but deep down you don't believe it's actually in the books for you, or you don't believe that it is possible for you to get paid for your genius, you know what? Forget about it. Just stay in that 9 to 5 and enjoy your steady paycheck. For real, because already you're coming with a defeatist mindset that it's not even possible. So that closes all the doors. So when somebody comes into my world, or the way I have, because I have made the mistake of chasing money, I've made that mistake before. But then I realized that no, the very first thing is to even develop that certainty, confidence, and conviction that no, I can get paid for something that I absolutely love to do. Because I honestly believe that everyone on this planet came with some kind of DNA programming or coding, like a solution to a problem or something to entertain us, something. So already from that place, the first thing that we need to work on is that getting rid, or replacing those limiting beliefs with the right beliefs that it is possible. Now, the second thing is, over the course of anyone's life, I'm pretty sure, whether it's at work, at school, as a child, you probably did something that you're like, huh, this is this is so easy, right? Either something that you're like, this is so easy, or like, oh my gosh, this is so fun, or you completely lost track of time, place, and you forgot who you were. So you've probably done something like that before. That's one. Number two criteria is, some people probably come to you for something in particular, something that,
Mm.
like, hey, you're coming to me for that. And your friends and family tend to just like gravitate towards you when it comes to that thing. What is that thing? And then finally, there's something that you probably do so well that you're looking at other people like, I don't understand. Why can't this person just get it? It's so easy to me. And some of those things, those are just the starting criteria for what it is that you could be good at. And then the next step will now be to actually go out and find the evidence, because there is nothing new under the sun, period. Whatever it
Mm.
is you're trying to do, even if it's finding the cure to some disease that they said, it's never been done for, somebody has found the cure to some disease before. Like, there is precedence for everything that we want to do. So go out and find that evidence. It might not be
Mm.
your story, but it is another evidence that, oh my gosh, okay, so this is possible. And then when you find the evidence, you start to look for the clues, because success leaves clues. When you look at that, then it will now get to the whole UK pattern recognition. Like, what are the patterns that this person took? Identify the pattern, and then we mimic that pattern. But then we don't stop there. The final thing is, now we now create what that pattern is going to look like for us. And that's where that whole high performance comes in. Okay, you have a 9 to 5 job, you have children, you have all these other obligations. How can you create something that actually works for you, so that you can actually steadily build this thing and it will eventually replace your income? But that's the thing. And maybe one more thing that I'll add there is, because you asked me, how can somebody find the genius and get paid so that they can actually be free financially? Everybody breathe, because this is the part that nobody likes to hear. You're not going to find your genius today and the income is going to replace your 9 to 5 income tomorrow, right? There are stages to this thing. So the first stage is just identifying that genius and building that business around it.
So good. So good. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it's funny because, like, when I tell my story about building a business, leaving my 9 to 5, the management consulting, I love to share the time frame between when I made my very first sale and when I hit my first six figures. Because it was actually a really remarkably short amount of time. But the thing that is not, it's so hard when you're telling stories because you want to tell all of the details of everything that you do. And the thing is if you do that, then you are so boring, right? Like, people won't listen to it because it's so boring. So, like, when I talk about making six figures in 6 weeks, people are like, what? And it's exciting because it's like, whoa, I hadn't even thought of that as being possible. And I was in the same boat. I'm like, I don't think that was possible. And so it was a remarkable thing. But the other part of the story that I feel compelled to share here, not because I'm trying to hide it, but because it was the more boring part, was the 9 months before the 6 weeks where I was coaching and I was taking courses and I was experimenting and I was doing so much discovery and work. And there were many things that I invested a lot of money in that did not work for me, or it was out of order, was actually more the issue most of the time. Is that it was something I wanted to know, and eventually it would be important to me as a multi six figure a year coach, but as a zero to my first six figures coach, not relevant. None of it was really relevant. And the thing is like I had to go on a journey of exploring, and I made educated guesses of what I thought was going to work. And it wasn't until I found what worked that I stopped looking. It's kind of like, you lose something in your house. You don't stop looking until you find it. And sometimes that means that you are looking for a long time. And I mean, I'm talking about this 9 months. Well, what about the 8 years before that when I was thinking about possibly becoming a business owner, right? And so, we could stack it all out to like my entirety of my life, but the point is it's so easy to hold yourself accountable to that 6 week story without realizing how many years went into being ready to do an incredible 6 weeks. And eventually I was doing that in like a weekend. But again, it was 6 years of being in business before I had a six-figure weekend.
I am so glad, and that story is powerful. And I'm so glad you talked about what happened before the 6 weeks. And I can relate to that because let's say I launched my business in May. It took maybe about 5 months, no, there, 4 or 5 months for me to finally crystallize like, oh, okay, so this is exactly how I'm trying to help people. And then not to even count the maybe from 2020, right? Like the 5 years or so that I tried different things and it didn't work. And then if I pull back the curtain even more, I have been on this journey for over 12, 13 years, working on myself and trying different things like you. I'm making a lot of mistakes along the way. And I won't even trade any of it for a straight journey, right? Because anyway, there's no such thing as a straight path. I've learned a lot, but I think that that is something that anybody starting out needs to understand right now, or anybody, even if you've already started the business, just understanding that this thing is a journey and you're going to pivot so many times in such a short amount of time. You're going to change things. You're going to be like, okay, that's not really my angle, or oh, this is the kind of person I'm actually really trying to serve. And it's okay to make those pivots, but those things also contribute to the timeline, right?
Yeah.
That side hustle eventually becoming a full-time hustle, eventually giving you that financial freedom. And I think that that is something that I don't think we do very well in the coaching industry. I don't think that's because, I mean, it's not a regulated industry, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about it the way we're talking about it now. Like, no, it's going to take longer than you think, and it's going to be harder than you think, period.
Well, and everyone's path is really unique, right? Like, I'm so curious, 12, 13 years in, if you could hop in a time machine and whisper in your ear something and believe it, 12 years ago, knowing now what you now know, what do you think is the first thing you would say to her? What would you say to you 12 years ago, knowing what you know now?
I would say to her, Kepo, play the long game. Play the long game. Because if you know that something is your life calling and it is part of your genius, it's probably something you're going to be doing for a long time. The format that it comes in, whether you do it full time, side, or just consulting from time to time, you're going to be doing it for a long time because it's part of your genius. It's part of your assignment here. So play the long game. Don't try to look for the quickest path to launch the business. Don't try to look for it to be easy because if it were easy, we would all be doing it. And anybody who has had some kind of massive success in business or in life will tell you, I had a struggle here or I had a struggle there. That's the number one thing that it took me a while to learn that. It took me a while and very easily over $100,000 to learn
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Same. I mean, like I it's not popular. It's so taboo to talk about it, but I'm very open about it. You know, I maxed out every damn credit card. I spent like my entire retirement savings on this dream, on this idea of being able to do this. And I definitely, when I started this journey, I did not have that in mind. I was like, no, no, I'm gonna like throw down on this first coach or this first program, and that'll be it. I'm gonna be, career changed, and that was kind of and we're laughing about it, but a listener might be like, "Why are they laughing?" We're laughing because that is ridiculous, right? Like if you really just think about it, you went to college to get that job, right? And now you're looking to do something else. Why would you have the expectation that it's going to be one step and you're perfect from there? Why do you think we think like that?
I think it's because we want it to be like that.
We
So
do.
yes, because I did this a lot. We delude ourselves into that because if we don't think like that, for some of us, we won't take action. We just won't do it. If I think a lot of people, if they actually really knew how much hard work this is psychologically, physically, and even emotionally, they probably won't take the first step. So I think sometimes the delusion is a little bit okay.
Delusion as a lubrication.
Exactly.
So true.
Yeah. So just delude yourself a little bit, but just know that, okay, like just have expectations that, okay, it's going to be longer because I think maybe just for our brains, trying to protect us, like, hey, what are you doing? We don't like hard stuff. We like to stay
Amen.
in our comfort zone. We like it to be easy. We like to live in our boxes and we like to warm our food in the boxes and store them in the boxes and watch things on boxes. And we just like everything easy. What are you doing? So when we tell our brains, oh, don't worry, it's going to be easy and it's going to be like that. It's like, okay, I'm game. If you tell someone, oh, this is going to be hard, it's going to be intense, you have to get up at 5 in the morning every day, they'll be like, yeah, thanks. I'll see you never.
You're right. You're so right. Whenever I think about the question of like, is it easy or is it hard? My answer to that is yes, right? Because when you do find that genius or you do find that area that you can add like significant value, it really does flow. Like time goes really quickly. But to be successful in business, at least my experience so far, is that there are going to be things that do challenge you, and PS, they never stop. So, because when you get to a new level, you encounter a new devil. So, like,
Mhm.
for the longest time, I thought, well, I'll get to seven figures as a coach. And then easy street, like, and then it will be easy. And what's so funny is the first $1 million that I ever transacted, it was actually my dear friend who was like, "How much have you made?" And I actually blew past seven figures, not realizing I had made that many sales in like 3.5 years. And like I didn't even notice the milestone. And it was because I was just so heads down, and so on. And fast forward, the next level, it was actually around like more like financial stewardship and management for the long term to grow your net worth. Because a
Mm,
lot of coaching, it's all like, oh yeah, you can have a seven-figure business, you can do multiple six figures, you can change your lifestyle. Okay, but if you don't manage your finances, you can very easily overspend in the industry, not even realize that you're doing it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, lots of levels to the game.
yeah, yeah. It's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep.
That's it. And
It's how
and what do you do with what you keep too?
what do you do with what you keep, and that is something that I am infusing into my work, my coaching work. Is not just helping you identify your genius and building a business around it and helping you to land your first paid client. It's going to be also, okay, so you have all this cash, you have all this money. How are you building your nest egg? What does your financial portfolio look like? That's next level, but one step at a time. First, let's get the
One
business
step at a
going.
time, exactly. And also like that willingness to keep investing, because in your business, you need to keep growing and technology keeps changing, and like there's always more to do, right? So that stewardship and that decision making, huge. But first, let's stop the sucky feeling, right?
Yeah, yeah. I like something that you
Working
said.
all the time with no reward.
Yes, you know what? I'm glad you said that because you also mentioned how 3-ish years blew past you and you didn't even realize it, and you were hitting all those milestones. And that is something that is so great For someone who is still building their side business and you're still trying, it's so important to celebrate even the small things, especially if you're the type that actually had to delude yourself that it's going to it's not going to take a long time. You better be celebrating those small wins because it's great dopamine for your brain and for your subconscious. Like, oh, we are winning. Okay, this thing is actually working. Let me keep going. I don't care how small it is. Celebrate it. You get a new follower on Instagram, yay, like
Exactly.
celebrate it and
Exactly.
make your life a big deal. Make everything a big deal. It's a big deal to start a side business, but on top of that, it's a big deal to actually like live according to your calling and what you're so good at. Because most people, unfortunately, Amanda, they will not do it because it is
Mhm.
scary, it is hard, and it will test you.
It
So
does.
the fact that you are stepping out is something like celebrate every single thing. So that when you get
Absolutely.
to maybe Amanda's milestone, you know what? They are even going to realize like I'm about to hit $1 million. We're gonna have a party.
Exactly. Exactly. Last night, so at the time we're recording this video last night, so obviously this is an evergreen experience, but
Yeah.
I was hosting a goal setting workshop because we're heading towards the end of the year. And I was sharing the story about building the business and getting to that place with $100,000 weekends. It took 6 years to do that. And a lot of people hear 6 years, it's not that long. I mean, like where were you 6 years ago? It goes so fast. And what I shared was like I think the big difference is that I've set intentions and goals on a rolling 90-day basis for the 6 years. So 6 years is 24 consecutive 90-day sprints.
I like that. It's
Yeah,
bite size,
it
it's
chunks things down.
digestible,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
chunks it
And that's
down.
not to guarantee what'll happen in 6 years, but I'm just saying that like if there's a thing that the successful do that maybe the unsuccessful don't, is the successful keep stringing together 90 days of progress. And so it's
Yeah.
not necessarily like your wildest dream achievement in that 90 days, but have you made measurable, meaningful progress?
Yes.
If you've made it, then amazing. And the guidance I gave yesterday, I'm curious how you feel about this, is if you are hustling for 90 days and
Mm-hmm.
you don't see progress, you don't have clients enrolling, you don't have systems getting built, you don't have new promotion in place, like if 90 days goes by and you cannot measure success, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the way that I tell people to do it right from the beginning is when they set those big audacious goals, also set mini goals, right?
Mm,
And that's what will fall into those 90-day sprints. Okay, you set the mini goal. Okay, when will you even know that you've gotten there? Right. And how does that fit into the bigger goal? So that, like you said, it's not always about this big, audacious dream. It's about just moving the needle towards the final milestone, which might be, oh, I want to hit this, I want to hit my first 10K, for example. I want to hit my next 2K, whatever it is. But then I think that's something that is missing for people. And the reason why sometimes it's like 90 days has gone by and they don't have much to show for it, they can't really measure, is because one, maybe they're trying to do it alone,
yeah,
right? They're not working with a coach,
big
they're not part of a community. And two, they are not thinking about what are the resources that can help them. Because it's not about, there's this book called Who Not How.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So sometimes it's not about like, okay, these are my goals, boom, boom, I'm just gonna go at them. Sometimes it's about, okay, who is actually the best person to help me here? And is this even something that, and it even forces the person to even think, wait, is this something that I actually should be focusing on that will actually help me hit this other big goal? Or is this something that I can outsource that is not even in my genius zone? Right. And then I think the third thing is having how do you call it, the way you measure success on a day to day, because sometimes even for some people like me, 90 days feels like a long time simply because of all the things that we do, right? So in the way that we measure what we do or the success, I think it's very, very important to just make sure that we're making the main things the main things, right? And we're actually,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, we're actually
Are you thinking
measuring.
of trackers?
What do you say?
Are you thinking of like trackers so that you can have like a count or a checklist of the activities you're doing?
Yeah, because because if you are working and at the end of 90 days you have nothing to show for it, then I'm wondering, were you working? You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know, working with a lot of new
You're just doing like 10,000 things and it's death by thousand cuts. You're not really measuring anything and you're not keeping if you keep the main things, like, okay, I'm going to do these three things towards my business every week, every day, and you don't see any results, then either you're not, yeah, maybe you're just not in the right business or something. Something needs to change, but
or there's something wrong with your strategy, right?
yeah.
Like there's something and you know, one thing I see a lot in the coaching space is like people have so much content pressure, like they feel like a lot of pressure to produce social media content, podcasts like this, you know, blogs and such, and they kind of fall on the altar of these algorithms trying to feed these machines more and more and more and more and more and more content. Meanwhile, they haven't actually talked to anybody in the last how long, right? So, you know, when I'm working with a lot of like, especially if you're under 100,000 a year, your biggest problem is not that you're not on social media. I guarantee your biggest problem is that you are introverting too hard, right? Like you're not connecting enough with people and sharing with excitement what you do. Because of that, you're not getting the support from people bringing you new connections. You're not getting the support from people, like you said. Like it's a who not how situation, and I think a lot of people are kind of dying on the altar of content.
Oh my gosh. Some people, and you know what? Let me not even use some people. Let me use my past self because I did this too,
Yeah.
where my entire business just boiled down to content. And I'm like, and I wasn't even actually doing the actual business because I was so obsessed with I have to post at this particular time of the day and I need to make the thumbnail like this. And it was so exhausting. And I was introverting very hard. I wasn't
Mhm.
actually I was acting like we were still in pandemic,
That's
pretty
it.
much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And it
wasn't,
is a version of comfort zone, isn't it?
yeah, I wasn't going out there and actually meeting people. Basically, the things that I did for my employer back in the day, where you go to a bunch of networking events, you build relationships, and they call it business development, right?
It's the same thing. You got to do it, right?
Kidding myself into thinking I have a business and it just comes down to posting this content a day. It's like, no, you need to go out there and
Yeah.
network with people. At the end of the day, we're still, even though we live in this gig economy, and I really advocate for getting in communities, but I think it's very important to actually do that in person as well.
I agree. I agree. That was actually something I challenged myself with last year to join an in-person community.
Mhm.
And yeah, it changed my year. It was really so powerful. And honestly, I went to like maybe 9 events, 10 events, and but it made a big difference to the year, you know, and that's coming from a basically online coach, right? So yeah. Kepa, what is the best way for people to keep up with you?
On Instagram, I know we just
Instagram. Okay.
about social media, but Instagram is the best way. Grow with Keppel because everything is there. All the links to everything is there. They can also go to onikepo.com, but whichever one, I know that people just like to digest content because they can actually immediately get things of value from there. Other website.
Exactly. And you'll be happy to know Kepo is not killing herself with content. She's
No.
just doing enough, right? And it's one of those things. It's like a black hole. But anyway, I digress. So amazing. Dear listener, we'll have all of Kepo's contact details and links and all the good stuff and the goodies in the show notes below. Don't forget to smash subscribe. You know, if this is your first time listening, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And look, I'm sure this resonated with you and probably 3 people that you know. So if you grab the link to the episode, wherever you happen to be listening or watching, and share it with your friends, we are so grateful because then people find out about our show. And finally, if you've been listening and you love it, the most generous thing that you can do is leave a honest review, because when people stop by to consider whether to spend their precious listening time with us, they do check those reviews, and we always appreciate those. Until the next episode, thank you so much for being here and keep on doing what matters.
I love it. Thank you so much.